What is up, all you DIY golfers? My name is Zach from the DIYgolfer.com, and in today's round, I've got a bit of a roller coaster for us. But before we get into it, I got a quick question for you about your game. Most of you are probably in that high single digit to, let's say, 20 handicap range. Got some confidence in your game, but you're really trying to get under that 80 mark. Not only that, do it consistently. So my question to you is this: have you ever started a round really well, got a long string of pars, maybe a birdie or two thrown in there, feeling great about the day, and then around that midpoint of the round, let's call it holes 8 through 15, you notice yourself slipping a little bit. Maybe your focus goes away, you get a little bit tired, and all of a sudden you've made 2 double bogeys in a row, your mind goes blank, and all of a sudden you're tapping in your putt on hole 18 for another mid-80s round. If that sounds like you, I've got great news. Number 1, you're not alone. Every golfer goes through this. It's very common. And number 2, there's a way to fix it. And as we get to the midpoint, kind of the end of this golf round, I'm going to share one of my favorite ever golf tips, something that has really helped me, in the past break through that barrier and play more consistent golf overall. So you can see here, I am not off to that wonderful start that I had talked about. Making a bogey save here. This is my 6th round in about the last 5 years, so I'm really kicking off some rust at this point. Played in college and really took a break. Was a bit burnt out, so trying to get the rust off, trying to get my feel back, and of course the short game is the first thing that really leaves you when you don't practice very often to play. But we made it to a par 5, which is usually a good scoring opportunity, especially on a course like this that's a public course, pretty short, and I found myself with a beautiful lie in that fescue. Didn't prop it up, promise. It was really just sitting on a tee, and was able to capitalize on that and knock a 6-iron to about 35-40 feet or so. So right here, the focus is just, let's get it within a 3-foot circle, as you might have heard Phil Mickelson talk about all the time. Didn't quite do that, so got to keep that head down, put a good stroke on it, and make that birdie. So, got a stroke back, feeling pretty good. And now we're to a par 3 where I'm a little bit in between clubs. So I got a 6-iron and a 7-iron, I think. And I had about 188 yards or something in that range, which normally I could probably juice a 7-iron, but the trouble was short on this hole. So I figured, let's go with the longer club. If I do come up a bit long, I'm going to go on the safe side of the green. If I came up short with that 7-iron, I'm in that hazard on the right. So you really want to play to where the trouble is not when you're in between clubs and just make that smart choice. And you're going to see this one was one of my best shots of the day. Hit a beautiful little fade in there. Ended up getting the distance absolutely perfect. Didn't go too far with that 6-iron. And set myself up for the second birdie in a row. Was real happy with that stroke. Last couple had been really putting pretty good during this round. Was mainly just focusing on getting my good line, lining up the ball, and just focusing on putting a great stroke on it and keeping my head down all the way through and not trying to peek.
Sit.
That said, I did leave myself plenty of testers. The lag putting was very poor during this round, but you'll see I get away with a lot of it. That is not always the case though. This round could have been tons of 3 putts if I wasn't hitting my mark on those short ones. Just like this. Kind of got cute with it. Didn't commit to the stroke. And throughout this round, I was feeling pretty terrible off the tee with the driver. You won't see me hit it too much because I really just felt like the ball was going left no matter what I did with my setup, my swing. And I'll end up finding something in the swing a little bit later in the round. But for now, it's just pain off the tee. And this is more pain because I scolded over the green. Tried to get real cute with this shot from the weeds and put myself in probably the worst position possible. I really should have just been hit into the middle of the green, but instead started rushing. Not what you want to do. You want to slow down when that sort of thing happens. I did not do that. But luckily, I was able to knock this 8 or 9 footer in for a double bogey. So even a double bogey save helps. But the key after a blow-up hole like that is really just slow down, catch your breath a little bit, and go through the routine that you've been practicing and you're used to, and focus on making a par on that next hole and getting back into your rhythm. So at the turn, we're 2 over. Was not very happy with that string of holes with the bogey and the double. That was really fired me up a bit, but was able to kind of get it back. And that's where we're going to start talking about this mid-round slump that you get in. It's a very common thing. 18 holes is not a short round of golf. I mean, you're out there for 4 or 5 hours, and that's a lot of focus. Now, obviously, got to eat and drink. That's the given parts, but no one wants to hear that. We all know that we need to stay hydrated. We really want to know, how do we get through this mid-round slump that you're seeing me go through? Pretty much every driver I've hit to this point was left. Just could not figure it out that day. Focus on keeping that weight forward on that sand shot. I had a really tight bunker shot right there. The sand was really hard. So in that situation, you want to grab one of your wedges that has the least amount of bounce possible. Open it up and really lean on that front foot to kind of activate the leading edge so that you can get under that rock hard sand and still pop the ball up and land it softly. Now this shot right here is kind of the turnaround point. I found something in my swing, kind of walked through a few things that I generally walk through when I'm struggling. The first one being tempo, second thing my takeaway, and then the third thing is going to be staying centered over the ball, kind of keeping a steady center. And it turns out in this round, the takeaway was I was kind of picking up the club a little steep. So for the rest of this round, you're going to start to see a lot better shots here. And all I'm thinking about is getting my takeaway a little bit to the inside. And that key seemed to work, so I just went with it for the remainder of the round. Knew I was going to hit a few bad shots, but overall it kind of steadied me out. Made a birdie here, really kind of started to turn me around and give some momentum. So before we get back into it, just want to let you know, in the description I've got a link for a free personalized practice plan catered to your game and skill level. So be sure to click on that and answer a few questions, and I'll send that your way. So you can't really see it, but this tee box was kind of on a downslope, and I really did not feel comfortable over that shot, and probably should have pulled out a 3-iron, but I got a little greedy thinking that I could probably get it around that corner with the 3-wood and have a shot in to this par 5 and make a birdie. But as you've seen throughout this round, any club over a 3-iron for me was just hook and left. I just could not get that figured out. So here is my par putt. Put a star next to that because I'm not even sure if that woods on the left that I dropped by was a lateral hazard, but I played it that way. So maybe add a stroke to my round here. But we're out here trying to have fun, trying to get the game back a little bit, trying to learn a few things, so is what it is. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I wanted to share one of the best pieces of advice that I have ever gotten. And it was through a book called Every Shot Must Have a Purpose. This book is something I've recommended on my website, thediygolfer.com, all the time. I'll be sure to leave a link in the description so you can check it out yourself. But ultimately, it was just a tidbit that I grabbed, and they were talking about visualization of your shots. And we all know that we should visualize our shots. Yeah, we got to hit, fades and draws and see it in your mind's eye before you hit it. But something that you probably have not tried before that I grabbed from this book is the idea of verbalizing your shots. So not only do you visualize, but you also maybe say it under your breath or just annoy your playing partners and say it out loud before you hit your shots. And what this looks like is being as specific as you possibly can. So let's say that we have an approach shot like we're about to have on this par 4. Now, how I might verbalize this is stand behind the ball and say out loud or kind of under my breath, I want this shot to be a straight shot, travel about 122 yards. When it lands, it's going to bounce once, release about 6 feet, and break right to left into the hole. Now, I know that's a pretty optimistic take on your shots, but if you visualize that and verbalize it out loud on every shot, I guarantee you will shoot better scores, and it will help you get through those mid-round slumps when you've just lost focus, because it really refocuses you and forces you to kind of see what you want to have happen versus that chaos that goes through your head when you're losing it mid-round. So as you can see, that's kind of what I did in this round. Was able to get it back, shoot even on the back, and end up with a 2 over 73. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.